questions tonight about the Clinton Foundation and allegations of charity fraud. This is the myriad of scandals plaguing Hillary Clinton only seem to deepen as we get closer to Election Day. Here in a Justice exclusive with new details about the foundation, financial whistleblower Charles Ortel, who exposed GE before the crash, and columnist for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Jack Kelly. Good evening, gentlemen. I am going to start with you, Charles. The Clintons say that their foundation is a force for good. And in fact, Bill Clinton came out this week and actually said that he's kind of like Robin Hood, taking from the rich and giving to the poor. Is there any truth to that?
I think it's just the opposite. I think it's Robin Hood in reverse. In fact, what he's doing is standing in front of money that's destined for poor and desperate people around the world and diverting it to his rich cronies and maybe to himself and his family. The fact is, with the Clinton Foundation, nobody really knows because they've never had an external valid audit of their financial statements from 1997 to the present. No one really knows.
Okay, now you did the investigation that basically identified the fraud that was going on in GE. And right now, you are making some statements that should have been uncovered by attorneys general across the United States.
Yeah, this fraud, like many frauds, starts small in 1997. This was supposed to be a library and research facility only in Little Rock. And it never got legally compliant audits in the very beginning when they built the building out in Little Rock. And it's just grown and grown and grown. And it's such a huge embarrassment that the politicians, I think, in both parties don't want to get to the truth.
All right, Jack Kelly, you have written about this in a historical context. I mean, how do you explain what Charles is saying, and do you agree with Charles?
Well, what Charles, and primarily Charles and a handful of others, have done is expose what's not merely the greatest political fraud in American history. It's greater than all the others combined. And it's the whole point of the email scandal was to cover up the play for pay that's involved with the Clinton Foundation.
You know what's interesting, Jack, is this week we find out that Blackberries were destroyed with hammers, and after federal subpoenas were served, you know, lawyers from the Clinton Foundation get on the phone with Platte River, and you know, at that point, 3 weeks later, they used BleachBit and destroyed the records. But what percentage, Charles, of the foundation's money goes to charities? I mean, do we even know?
You're just guessing. We're just guessing. In these type of frauds, the real step is not even in the numbers that you see. It's money is sent towards the Clinton Foundation, and nobody really knows how much money is diverted before it hits the books. That's the real issue. They've never had independent trustees. They've never had independent auditors. My estimate is you're talking with all the affiliates about $100 billion minimum, and in their books they only show $2 billion coming in for the
$100 billion?
Billion, counting all affiliates, counting the Global Fund, counting the Unitaid, counting Haiti, counting Tsunami Fund, counting, you know, there are lots and lots of affiliated entities which are supposed to be disclosed in these books but never have been.
And Jack, in terms of your investigations, I mean, have you found similar frustrations or numbers?
Well, what disturbs me the most are the security implications of some of this play that Hillary did as Secretary of State. One was permitting the Russians to acquire 20% of America's uranium, and the other is the development of the Skolkovo Research Center in Russia, which is their Silicon Valley, which has become a transfer point for dual use, for military use technology for the Russians. And 17 of the 28 companies involved in Skolkovo are either Clinton Foundation contributors or people who have paid megabucks to have Bill Clinton speak to them.
But why? And this is to either one of you. You know, do they have so many people that they're connected to that no one is willing to look at this in either party?
Well, the news, I would say, is that actually in both parties and around the world, people are digging in. And I would expect over the next several weeks here, I'm calling for a conservator to be appointed right now to take control of the Clinton Foundation. And I'm calling for attorneys general to stop fundraising inside this country in every state. And I'm calling for the major governments around the world to stand up and explain in Australia, in Norway, in France, in the UK, why they allowed so much money to go to the Clinton Foundation without forcing the Clinton Foundation to account to their own taxpayers where it went.
And you know what's interesting is that, you know, with these 501c3s and these conservatives, these little organizations, the IRS is on top of them. That's exactly what this is, a 501c3. But when you look at Jim Comey and Loretta Lynch, you know that there's not going to be any justice.
Exactly. You know, the person in the IRS who was looking after this was Lois Lerner from 2001 to 2013.
All right. Charles Ortel, Jack Kelly, thank you so much. We're going to have you back. We're going to follow this one. Thanks for everything.